Hi, this is Daniel O'Connor, and this is a quick overview of how we have been reusing and redistributing surplus assets in UK and Australian institutions, educational institutions. This session is going to be about 10 to 15 minutes long, and I'm going to cover why reuse is important, what sort of problems are caused when you don't reuse, and I'm going to give you an overview of a solution that we've been using for the last 5 to 6 years, and I'm going to go through that with a couple of case studies. But this is really targeted at educational institutions, large and small, who want to manage the flow of assets through their organisation better. There's a few benefits to reuse. Obviously, there's savings, there's carbon savings, there's waste savings, but there's also, you free up space. You give people a tool to declutter, and this is for organisations who want to take waste out of that process, and who want to improve the look and feel of an estate. Remove dumpsters, take away that visual impact of the waste, and also, there's a big thing here around corporate social responsibility and making sure that those assets, the value that's put into the assets from manufacture and transport and use, making sure that value isn't lost. So I used to work as a waste manager in a higher education institute in the north of England, and I used to see this sort of thing every day. I also used to get requests for disposal of assets on a big scale, and I'd have to find homes for those things. Often I would get a request to dispose of assets on a Wednesday, only to see a delivery of almost exactly the same assets on the next day to the same building. And that used to happen because everyone exists in silos, no one talks to each other, there's a communication problem, and so massive waste. You're paying to get rid of something on one hand, one department's paying to get rid of something on one hand, and on the other hand, another department's buying that very same thing. No communication, and it's all around ease of communication. So often the communication methods are too clunky, or there's bottlenecks in the communication method, which mean that staff, are dumping assets. The logistics team or the portering team often get last minute notification of those assets, so there's no time to find new owners. There's often limited storage opportunity. All that storage might be mismanaged, so it's not acting as a buffer, which means assets get left out and then destroyed. Another part of this is that it's hard to find homes for those assets, not only on the campus but also in the community. So all of these points build up to mean that often it's easier to dispose of an asset into the dumpster, or the skip as we call them in the UK. There's two sides to this. One side is the procurement side. If you're disposing of assets when those assets could have been used on the estate, there's a missed procurement opportunity. There's obviously a missed procurement saving, but also there's the whole paperwork that's associated with buying things that you don't actually need. So there's a big opportunity around that. And also, getting much more important in procurement now, but those scope 3 carbon emissions. So, if you're buying something, it has to be manufactured and transported to your estate. If you could have reused that thing, that would have stopped the purchase of a new thing and all of that transport and manufacture. So big impacts procurement side. On the other side of that same coin is there's opportunities on the waste side of things within facilities and estates management. So you're paying to dispose of an asset that still has a value. So you're getting hit on the waste disposal charge. You're getting hit because you're losing that value as well. And also, there's a reputational risk if staff and visitors and students see assets in skips and dumpsters. What does that say? Organisations are expected to bring in waste minimisation solutions now. So, there's a risk of looking inactive. And also, if you're dismantling assets to put them in the skip, there's a risk of injury to staff. There's obviously time taken to do that. So there's opportunities there. So this conversation is really about improving internal collaboration, improving internal communication. What we've done is we've created an online platform where staff can very quickly check if anyone else has that surplus asset on the estate or beyond. So the buyer can log in, check a marketplace and see if that's available. And also a disposer has a very easy system to find a home for assets. My kind of vision is that I want reuse to be normal. I want reuse to be mainstream. And to do that, we've got to make a system where it's easier to use than buying new. It's easier to use than ordering a dumpster or ordering a disposal. And when you achieve that, and I'm going to show you some examples later on, when you achieve that ease of use, you actually have a tool that encourages decluttering on the estate, for the day-to-day churn of things. And when you encourage decluttering, you suddenly get this space efficiency happening, and also a big opportunity is around building clearance, building decants. If you can give those project managers a tool, which means that you can match surplus assets while they're still in an old point of use before the building clearance date, then that's a really handy tool for those project managers, and they can use that tool to actually reuse items. So it's got to be super easy to use. What we've done is build this marketplace, and the power of the marketplace is that it's in one place. Everyone knows where to go to get rid of things, but also to get things as well. And it's this one point of contact, one point online where everyone goes. Everyone's familiar with eBay, everyone's familiar with Amazon, so it really increases participation, and it's really easy to use. And because it's easy to use, there's this positive feedback loop where once it's embedded into practice, it just becomes normal and reuse becomes mainstream. Big part of what we do on university campuses is actually find matches for assets in the community as well, because some assets become non-compliant, some assets go out of fashion, and then you might even just have corporate colours or a corporate style, so you want to push those assets out into the community. So we've got a thing within our system where we have priority 1 is internal staff, priority 2 is friends on the system, priority 3 is anybody else. And so we set up this legal and safe and easy way to pass assets out into the community. And that is to charities, social enterprises, but also primary schools and secondary schools. There's a really big win there around, you can actually pass your community, you pass your surplus assets from a large university or school into primary, secondary, tertiary education, and you can actually pass your assets into your feeder schools. One of the big things, which is really important for any reuse system, is to track the financial, social, and environmental benefits. The reason why it's important is because reuse is hardly given the priority it deserves. Recycling doesn't really save you any money, but reuse does. Reuse saves you money, pays back handsomely. Reuse has massive carbon savings because you avoid that whole manufacture, and obviously, you've got your waste diversions as well, and also passing assets into the charity sector, obviously yields really good benefits. So track your reuse as well. Once you track your reuse, you start to see the impact. And once you see the impact and your staff see the impact and your senior management see the impact, it gets more important, and then you can funnel more resources into reuse, and again, getting that positive feedback loop going. Okay. So I'm going to run through a couple of case studies now. We've been going for 5, 6, 7 years in the UK. I say 5, 6, 7 because I used to actually work in the sector, and I started Warped as a side project, which then grew into something a bit bigger. But I'll send this link, and you can look at this in your own time. But this is Glasgow University. They were the first ones in the Glasgow area to set up their system, and they proved the model. They then brought on the other universities in the city, and then the council, and then the big healthcare provider there as well. So we had about sort of 80,000 staff members on the system, all something and trading. And if an asset didn't get traded internally, it got moved to a central storage that all those organisations part funded, and then from that central storage, if anyone else from the partnership organisations required the asset, it went out into the other institutions. So it was working really well. All the partners funded the storage and the transport and the logistics. So there's a video there you can view later. Sunderland Partnership, similar model really, but the city council brought it in first, proved the model on at the municipal council level, then invited the other big players in the city, and that went really well. 3 direct jobs actually created from that program. Again, I'll send a link. I wanted to just cover this Scotland as well, because Scotland's very similar to Canada, I believe, and the Scottish have really taken this on board in a big way. And I'll send you this link as well. But we've got probably about 60-70% of Scottish universities. We've got all the healthcare across Scotland. We've probably got now about 50-60% of the municipal councils. And what's really interesting about the Scottish side of this project is that the institutions are saving a lot of money internally, and you might say that's because they're quite frugal, which is great for reuse. But also, the Scottish organisations are also some of the biggest donators of assets as well into the charity sector. So 2 sides of that same coin again. Because this is an educational institution presentation, I've also pulled out this case study. The Russell Group is a group of universities in the UK. There's 24 of them, and they're the old traditional red brick universities, often quite large, very traditional, often quite energy intensive as well. They've usually got a lot of labs, and we've got, I think it's about we've got 16 of the Russell Group, and they're doing really well on the system. So if there are any traditional universities in the audience, you might like to look at this page, and then also look. I've got all these case studies here of universities using our system, and I'll send that link as well. A lot of reading in there, and there's all different types of universities in there: city-based universities, universities with satellite campuses, universities with storage, universities without storage. There's a lot of case studies here. Okay, and let's jump back to the PowerPoint. So just to show you the impact the system's having in the UK, I'm going to go through some savings and some environmental, social and financial savings. And I'm not doing a pitch here, but I'm going to show you some really interesting trend from our customer endorsements, which is really, I find it super interesting. So let's jump back out to the internet. So first thing to show you is just some of the sort of the savings that a reuse platform is generating for these organisations. So this is a 35,000 staff member organisation, and they're doing 27,000 Great British pounds a month in reuse savings. Yeah, you'll notice here, we're also in Australia, and obviously we're trying to get into Canada as well. So these are the financial savings, huge financial savings available. Carbon here as well. Yeah, so we track the kilograms of carbon equivalent, and that is, the manufacture and transport of a chair or a desk or whatever it might be. That's the Scope 3 carbon emissions. Kilograms avoided in waste, and also donations to charity. You'll notice a lot of Scottish organisations in there: Aberdeenshire Council, Dundee City Council, University of Glasgow, City of Edinburgh Council, University of Edinburgh. So, really good stuff there. And finally, so these are some of our end user comments that we get, endorsements. And what you'll find if you read this, and I'll send this link, is these are end users, so not sustainability people, they're not facilities people, they're not procurement people, these are end users, the administrators, the clinicians, all that sort of thing, people who are using the product out in the field. And what they're saying is they're just happy that they're able to reuse. People want to be able to reuse their items. They want to be able to do it easy. easily. So what you'll see if you read a few of these quotes is, it's easy to use, easy to use, easy to use. But also what's brilliant is, they say they're happy that they've finally got a tool where they can actually reuse. People don't want to scrap things. People don't want to throw things in the dumpster. They want to be able to do it, but they're really busy. So they need a tool that makes they need a tool that means that they can do this within their normal work and life. So what you'll find is two things. It's easy to use, but also the best thing is they want to reuse. They want to be able to reuse. They want to have a tool to reuse. Okay, so that's my quick summary. I'm going to join you in the chat, I believe, but that's my quick video for now.